And away we go. It is episode number 2 of the podcast Paper Rings. I'm Scott Spears along with Abby Croman and Michelle Whitaker. Last week's episode highly received by the listening audience. We certainly appreciate that. All you out there in podcast land. You can get this podcast by going to YouTube and searching Paper Rings Podcast. And these episodes will go on forever and ever and ever. Now, for you listening on YouTube, this is being taped on Valentine's Day, so what other topic would we have but love? And Abby today is going to steer the love conversation. So go ahead, Abby.
Well, thank you, Scott, for putting me on the spot again.
And now to Abby with the news. Yeah. News and weather with Abby. Go ahead.
I don't have news and weather, but we have, the Valentine's topic, which is always love for the day. So how do we...
I'm going to eat a chocolate-covered strawberry, so don't come to me first with the question.
And Michelle, who so lovingly brought us these snacks.
And you brought me some conversation hearts that I said didn't exist, but I've never seen this on the thing before, ever.
Usually the generic ones, which I couldn't find when I was looking for them, they say it much bigger across the top. They say conversation hearts. I think that's what they were actually called. I didn't just pull that out of nowhere.
Now, okay, so ask a question and then send it to Michelle, and hopefully I'll be done by the time she's done answering.
So our questions. This is difficult. That's a hard question. I can hear you eating your strawberry. Okay, so the love topic today that we have. So one of the deepest questions, this was posed by Scott earlier, so it's just kind of getting drawn on.
Listen, I'm eating.
I know.
Don't pick on me.
I won't. But so it's going to be hard, Michelle. It's not an easy question.
I know.
And it is for everyone.
Hey, Scott, hurry up and eat your strawberry.
What is the meaning of love?
Oh, great.
I know. And that's such a hard question to answer.
Well, yeah, because it's a timeless question.
Well, I think it's different for everybody. That's why it's so hard.
It's definitely different for everybody. What was the question?
What is the meaning of love for you?
What is the meaning of love for me? Well, there's all different meanings of love. Depends on what kind we're talking about.
Right. So, obviously, love for, like, a significant other, I think, is where we're at. Since it's Valentine's Day. The love for your kids, the love for your parents, the love for, like, the people, you know. Why are you shaking your hand at me? He's shaking me. He's shaking me.
Because that's different love. It's not love for your grandparents.
That's what she said. What kind of love are we talking about here?
Oh, yeah, it'd be significant other love.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't really have one answer for that, per se. Really. People always talk about whether love is a feeling or love is a choice. That's a good question.
Okay, so here I Googled it. Do you know what the meaning of love is in the dictionary?
No, I don't.
Here we go. An intense feeling of deep affection or a great interest and pleasure in something. But that's something. That'd be like
right.
His love for something.
Correct.
If it's a verb, a deep romantic or sexual attachment to someone. That's Scott liked that one. Is that your meaning of love, Scott?
Yeah, that's what I think.
I think Scott's answer is going to be more interesting than my answer.
I would love to hear your answer. I mean, this goes on.
Definitely.
Love is when you choose to be at your best when the other person is not at their best.
That I do believe.
That's pretty good.
Definitely, yes.
So what is the question again?
What is the meaning of love for you?
The meaning of love.
Right.
That's different than the definition of love.
Yeah, how do we
Well, I just told you
it?
the definition according to the dictionary.
So you don't want my definition, you want what I think love means?
Well, what's the difference?
The definition would be what I think love is supposed to be. What it means is like subtext. Like I'll give you them both. Okay, what love means to me is that you're with that person makes you happy when they walk in the room, it's an exciting time, it's spring, even in the winter, you're excited to see them, you're excited to talk to them, that's what it means. But the definition for me of love is someone who, when everything else is gone, once the physical attraction's gone, once the firsts are all over, you can still talk to, you can still laugh with, and it's not based on time, because sometimes time, you get confused, because time becomes, oh yeah, well I can always talk to that person. Well, that's just because you got so much on them. It's not to do with time. It's somebody I met 6 months ago who I know I could still be laughing with. Donahue, who was on the show yesterday, I'm going to work this in, of course, but he married Marlo Thomas. It was his second marriage. And he had all his boys, 5 boys, with his first wife. And somebody said, well, it's a Hollywood marriage. You and Marlo Thomas, how did that work? And he said, I made her laugh on our first date, and she's still laughing today. That's it. That's my definition of love.
I believe that. That's we talked about that this morning, too. We all chose someone who would make us laugh.
But do you
as our
see
person.
meaning different than definition?
Yes.
Yeah.
There is a difference. What
So
about you, Ab?
I gave you them both. Give the meaning and the definition.
Oh, I don't know. I can't. I don't know if I can do that. I don't know what the definition is.
Oh,
I mean, I read the definition. I think that if you're in love, if that's what love is, like it's your person. It's your person that you want to do all that with. That you don't see her doing something else. So I think there's, I don't know. You love them. That's your person. You want to grow
you
old
can't
with them,
use
and
the
you want
word
to.
in the definition.
I can't use the. Oh, that's true. I don't know.
I'm listening to something.
There's something
in here.
out there.
Yeah.
It's our 30-second delay.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. I agree with Scott.
You want me to go check the room?
No.
There's somebody out here listening to our love conversation.
I agree with you.
You do.
Well, yeah. The definition, right. It's after everything and you still choose to be there when it's good or bad.
Right. It's not always good.
Right.
Right, and I do think there's something to laughter, because I've always said this. I don't know if I've said this to you guys, because I don't know if we've had this conversation, but I say it a lot, is that laughter is the one emotion we have that is involuntary, that you cannot feel pain. If you not the fake laugh.
Right.
But if something would happen right now and you genuinely laugh, you can't stop it. It's like a sneeze. And your mother could have just died, and you cannot feel that pain while you're doing it. It's an amorphous emotion.
Right.
And that's why, to me, laughter is the most important emotion, because you can feel no other while you're doing it. It's pure joy. That's why making a sick person laugh doesn't always cure the disease, but it makes them happy for that
does.
moment.
Yeah.
Correct. That's true. It's very true.
Laughing with someone is.
You had no idea I'd be
very
so
important.
deep on the topic of love, did you?
No.
No,
Okay,
we
so
didn't.
Mary.
The unmarried one. Thank you
Right.
very much.
So, does true love last forever?
Does true love last forever?
Is it meant to be forever?
Well, I think some people think it's true love, but it's not.
I agree.
So that's the problem.
But
There's
I
your
think
problem.
when you truly love someone, whether you stay married to them or continue a relationship with them or not, as far as significant other love, I think that you always have love for them. If it's true love, I don't think you shut
Are you
it
talking
off.
like soulmate? People like to use that word, soulmate.
No, not
stuff.
soulmates. Not soulmates.
I never like that. I don't like that, because I don't know what that means.
Right.
Someone who your soul can't live without?
But where is my soul
Yeah,
exactly?
but here's this is funny. I watched Dawson's Creek. And spoiler alert, if you haven't watched it. So there's 2 guys who the main character, girl main character, has to choose between, but she doesn't end up with what they would say is her soulmate. Her soulmate was Dawson, but she ended up with Pacey. Because they have that connection, and they always will.
And I've gotten so much trouble lately for saying that I would send flowers to a married or an engaged woman. But here's the thing about that. Here's the thing. Now, I'm not saying that I did not do that. It's Valentine's Day. Nobody's gotten any flowers from me, so the florists are about to close. It isn't going to happen. But the point is that much like what you just said, it happens sometimes. In 2 movies we have talked about doing this movie trivia, and I've never seen either one of the movies all the way through, but there are 2 important parts. Jerry Maguire, You Had Me From Hello. Mm-hmm. Now, that's not anything very deep. No. That's just when you met him, you knew. And sometimes you meet a married person or an engaged person, and you just know you like them. So if You Had Me From Hello really is true, then you can't predict that. Okay, so that's number 1. And Notting Hill, which I have not seen, but I have watched the scene that is popular in that movie, It's the guy giving all the reasons this can't work. And those reasons could be you're married, you're engaged, blah, 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 blah. But in the end, what's her line?
She's just a girl standing in front of a boy asking him to love her.
And isn't that what we all are? Isn't that the most
Yes.
exposed you are?
Yeah.
So, you know what? Married, single, dating, engaged, whatever. Expose yourself. Because you're going to be exposed no matter what. They always have the option to say no.
Correct.
You just think you have to go for it.
I think if you don't go for it, you end up on Dawson's Creek and it's not happy time. But sometimes the other person doesn't know. And then they think, oh, you know, it's hard to get out of some stuff sometimes to be with that person. It doesn't happen overnight.
Well, I think if there's
But-
ever someone when you're married or engaged, if there's ever someone that makes you go, oh, well, then there's a problem. Yes.
I don't
Yes.
think so. Now, I'm not disagreeing with you just to disagree on this one. I really disagree with that.
I don't really disagree with that.
Because I think that is a little bit of a falsity because you don't predict that stuff. So if somebody walks by you that you've never seen before, or you met somebody you've never met before after you're already married or engaged, and they make you laugh harder, they make you excited, they bring something to your life, you can't wait to see them, and then one day it dawns on you, oh, why do I have all these feelings for this person? I don't think immediately you think it's love, because you are in something. But I think that can happen. I don't think that's a big shock. You do?
I don't know.
I mean, do you really think just because you're married or engaged that you cannot have those feelings for somebody else new you meet?
I definitely haven't had those feelings in a long time. For a
But do
new
you think
person.
it couldn't happen?
No,
If you're happily married or
Yeah.
happily in your relationship, no, I don't think that it happens.
it doesn't.
I think you can still be friends with someone. I might find someone new I meet intriguing or want to have more conversation, but I
it
don't
doesn't
think
have
you're
those
like,
feelings that you have for your significant other.
Well,
Right.
then that would be contradictory then to the opinion of emotional cheating, because
that's not really contradictory.
that's contradictory because the definition of emotional cheating, as I understand, is you're not really doing anything, you're just confiding in that person and you're talking to that person a lot. Well, if it's true that when you're married and you're engaged or in a relationship that you can't possibly have other feelings for somebody else, then what is emotional cheating?
It's when you're sharing your feelings or your secrets or whatever it is that you have with someone other than your significant other. I
But-
mean,
but-
not in a friend way.
But you just said that can't happen not in a friend way because you are in something.
No, you can be friends, but you're expecting that to turn into something else, or you're thinking that it would turn into something else just because you choose to share your feelings with someone else.
But you just said that can't happen. You said when you're in a relationship that you can't start to have feelings for somebody else.
No, you shouldn't. You can't. I don't think if you're happily in your relationship, I'm not saying not sharing your feelings. I mean, like, if I started having a deep conversation about something with someone else, doesn't mean I'm going to have feelings for them. But it's when you're not talking to your partner and then you start sharing, that's emotional. When you're sharing your emotions with someone other than your partner or the problems
What if
or
that
this or that.
person? I don't know. That's a little iffy. Because if
You're thinking like cheating is just physical.
I'm sure it is.
That's your definition.
oh yeah, and you've got to be married. Yeah, you do. I mean, I really think that's true. I don't think any other way it really is the true definition of what cheating is. But my point is, if emotional cheating is a thing, and this has just come out because of the internet world, I guess, if that's really a thing, cheating is I'm married. Okay, I'm married, and I am having an emotional relationship with another person. Well, if it's impossible for me to like another person because I'm married, how can I have an emotional relationship? You just told me you can't. So there must not be anything like emotional cheating. That must just be baloney.
I'm sure there's people that do think that way. I was just saying specifically me. Like, I've never felt that way.
Right, and I've never been married, so this is
Right.
totally
Like,
amorphous
I've never
to
felt
me.
that way. But I'm sure there's people that do Yeah.
Do you
definitely.
believe it's impossible? That's the question. And I'm not married. I just don't believe it's impossible. I don't believe it's impossible to be married or engaged or in a relationship and all of a sudden somebody new comes in and you say, oh, I might be missing out here.
That's a problem.
It's
I mean, for me, yeah, I think it's definitely impossible. Like, I've never.
for
agree. I don't
you,
think
but I'm
that's-
saying in general.
In general, yeah, I'm sure people do that, or there wouldn't be cheating.
Right. There you go.
I don't think cheating is always based in love either. I don't think they expect to fall in love with this person forever and ever.
The person they cheat with?
Yeah.
Oh, probably not.
Right, and emotional cheating is
A little
it's
worse.
It's hidden.
Yeah.
That's what constitutes.
You know why?
Because your significant other doesn't know about it.
Yeah, but here's what I don't like about emotional cheating.
Oh gosh.
If it's no, here's why I don't like this term, because if you are, so let's say a girl, okay, and you are having these emotional conversations with another girl, that's not emotional cheating. That's perfectly fine. Same conversations with another guy, that's cheating, emotional cheating. Now wait a second, why? If this has nothing to do with physical anything, then why is that emotional? Why does the sex of the person matter? If you're a different sex, it matters. If you're the same sex, it doesn't. That makes no sense to me.
Unless, I mean, if you're probably in a gay relationship, I don't know because
Right,
I'm not.
right.
But
It all-
if you're probably talking to another girl, I bet they would have something to say about it.
Right, but why is that a factor if it's all emotional, not physical? Why can you have those conversations about your significant other with somebody who it's absolutely impossible to have a relationship with?
Well, I think because you don't know the other person's, what are their intentions? You know what I mean?
Right, but don't you have the option to say no?
Who?
If you really don't have feelings for that third party and you really are, still feeling your significant other, you can say no if they make an advance on it. And why would you be confiding in somebody who's making advances on you? That would be a good shot to me.
I agree. I think
Well, that's
I
true
agree
too. I think some people though are just that dense and don't understand that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they don't get it.
But there's been I've worked like in the teaching profession. There are a lot more
Oh,
women
boy.
than men. There just are a lot more women than men. There always have been.
Actually, I see a lot of guys now.
Now, it's more than it used to be.
Yeah.
But when I started, it was a lot more women than men. And there were a lot of women who I was friends with who would talk about their problems at home. But I had no problem.
Wait, did you talk to him every single day, like
I saw him every day.
one-on-one every day?
One-on-one, probably not.
Having phone calls outside of school
Right. And it wasn't
work.
secret. You weren't having like secret conversations with them.
No, but okay, let's say you go to your significant other and you say, hey, I'm talking to Melissa. Well, he's probably not going to care. But if you say, I'm talking to Robert, well, he might care.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why?
Because he's a guy and he knows probably what Robert's thinking.
Right. There's another chance
But
there.
okay, but that's an interesting question. Just because you're talking to somebody of the opposite sex, does it mean you have intentions? I don't think it
No.
does.
You can clearly tell a difference when you come home from your job and you're like, oh, I was talking to so-and-so today and we were talking about this, as opposed to there's an ongoing trend with it.
Well, see, for me, if you started an ongoing trend, then you're a part of it.
Yeah.
And why are you a part of it if everything's hunky-dory with your significant other?
I don't know if it's always based on this significant other. Maybe it's your own issues.
I'll tell you something interesting. Here's a story. This is a real life story. I was working with somebody recently, and it was somebody of the opposite sex, and they said a word that I had never heard before, and they used it in my direction. Now, I didn't think anything of it. I thought, well, that's okay. I know this person now for a while. I don't think anything of that. But it could be, I could say, well, now wait a second. You don't say that to a coworker.
What's the word?
I'm not going to say the word. But it's one of those words. I'm not going to say the word because the person then will know, and they might be listening to this. I'm trying to keep this as wide as I can.
I know, but if we don't know the word,
It's a word you would call somebody, like servers in a restaurant say sweetie and all that sort of thing.
yeah, that's really annoying.
That type of thing. It's one of those words. And they used it in my direction, and I had never heard them say that before. Now, I don't think it's because they're in love with me secretly, but if somebody was looking at that, they might say, well, that's a weird thing to call a coworker.
Yeah. True.
I don't
I'm
know.
not sure. I don't know.
I'm just saying, but to me, I just took it as, oh, okay, whatever. Maybe you're one of those people who uses those words.
Well, some people do use those words.
Right.
Yeah. Just
But
naturally.
But an outsider might think, ooh, that's odd.
I don't think it's odd when people are like, hey, sweetie, or dear. Depends. But, like, I say,
I don't know. See, I would not call a coworker dear. That would never come out of my mind. Could you hand me that ruler, dear? I don't think
that
so.
doesn't even sound like you, though.
Well, that's right. It's not my tone of voice. It's not my thing.
Did you ever call your teacher mom though, and then have nightmares about it for years later? Maybe
No,
it was
I
an
don't think I ever called
accident.
my
I've had people call me mom
Really?
when they were
Yeah.
like
Oh,
using the tone of voice like that with me, trying to get my attention or something.
Now, who calls you mom?
I've had different students like not intentionally call me mom, just like mom, and I'm
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
no.
Well, I've done that with coworkers. Like sometimes coworkers get a little bossy, and you say, "Thank you, mother." You do that. But that mother is not a term of love.
No, but even little kids, even when they're younger, I think a lot of elementary kids will mistakenly call their teachers mom.
But I don't
to get
think
their
the
attention.
elementary kids. I don't think the husband's going to say, "Well, you better
No,
go
that's
beat
not
up
what I mean, but
Bobby
I'm just
today."
saying, maybe it was just a
Dang it,
just a
Bobby.
thing.
Yeah. What were you doing? Were you trying to put the move on my fiance? That doesn't make any sense. It obviously has to be
That's
an
not what I
adult
mean.
thing. And I don't know. Is that a thing? I don't know. It's a deep discussion, to be honest, because I don't understand that. To me, you either trust the person or you don't. And if you don't, there's your problem.
Trust who?
The person you're with.
Oh, yeah,
Well, trust is a whole nother issue.
yeah. Trust is a whole different topic day.
Right, but trust is a big part of a relationship, and if we are talking about love and third parties and spillover, if you don't trust them, you're going to have a problem with a lot of things they're doing, not just talking to somebody from the opposite sex.
Right.
Well, that's true.
So that's why I don't get emotional cheating. I don't get words people use. I don't understand any of that because either you feel something for them or you don't. It's very simple. It's a yes/no. There's no gray area there.
There is gray. Everything's gray.
I think some people tell themselves they don't feel things about people because they're in relationships. Because that's not the right thing to do. That's not the good thing.
I don't know.
Yeah, you probably just shouldn't put yourself in that situation.
Yeah, but do you think anybody who ever had a transgression in their life ever thought to themselves, "Oh yeah, this is the right thing to do. I'm doing the right thing here."
No.
There you go.
But it's usually not about love.
Not about love, but according to the
Because if it
definition you read, there are
was-
parts.
Because if you, like I said, I think we talked about this the other day. If you really cared about that person, you wouldn't do it. Like if you really cared about that other person, you wouldn't be in a relationship with the person you're with at the time. You would put a halt to everything, figure yourself out first, and then move on. So, really, what are you doing?
But can you, because the love is the topic here, can you love somebody of the opposite sex who is not your significant other?
At the same time?
Yeah.
No, hands
No.
down.
Because if you did
can't.
love them, you wouldn't do that.
wouldn't
You
fall
would
for
know
someone
if they
else.
died.
What do you mean?
I'm not talking about, I guess I'm not, okay.
If they died, I don't. That's
What?
a whole other.
Okay, no, if somebody died.
Death enter into this. It was about
No, because
love
I think
today.
death is a big thing.
I'm so confused.
No, if somebody, it's love and death.
You can have love for people and not be and love your significant other. There's a totally different thing.
You can love other people.
Have love. You can
Have
have
love.
love. I
Have
don't think
love.
you have love.
Okay,
for
well, what's
people.
the difference between have love and in love?
A lot. The in love is your person now. You're in love with your person. You're in love with your significant other. And I don't think anyone else, if you're in love, is going to make you go, oh, like you said. I really don't. When you're in love with someone, like you're happy.
So
Your needs
let's
are
say,
met.
let's
Who's gonna
say,
make you say, oh.
okay, well, let's say you're in love with somebody, and somebody walks by and makes you go, oh. Does
No
that
one's
mean?
gonna walk
That doesn't
by.
happen.
No one's going to walk
If
by
you
and
are
make you
in
say,
love with
oh.
someone, you don't notice someone
Okay.
walking by and going, "Oh."
Okay, well, let's say you run into somebody who makes you go, oh.
Who?
And I don't know.
Like somebody I don't know?
No, somebody you know. You come across somebody you know, and for some reason one day you go, oh. Now, does that mean you've fallen out of love with the person you're with?
No, but that's not going to happen. Like, there's not somebody who's going to make me go, oh,
How do you know?
because I'm in love. So you don't just think there's just not somebody who's like,
So you don't think you
Oh.
can have love for more than one person at the
you
same
can
time?
have love. You can't be in love.
I don't know about that.
Listen,
I don't know.
What is this thing, like, and I said this before, it was somebody quoted it or something, but it was like, if you ever think you're in love with two people at the same time, always choose the second one, because you were never really in love with the first.
It's true.
Who's the second one?
Whoever
Oh,
you
you
fell
mean
in love
like
with, if
in
you're in
time
love,
frame?
if you're falling in love with someone and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm in love with two people at once, you find somebody else that makes you go, oh,
So it can happen.
I'm not, no, but the whole, did you listen to the rest of the quote?
Go for the second one.
Always go for the second one. Why? Because you were never really in love with the first. I wholeheartedly believe that.
That's my same philosophy with hamburgers. If one comes out
Oh, gosh.
and it doesn't look good, and you order a second, always go with the second.
Yeah, I don't know. I know people that, I know someone that's gotten divorced and then they've gotten remarried. So I don't know if
But
that
you don't
completely...
always have no love for the, your love
it's
is
true.
always gone. You can still have love.
Okay, well, we're back to there. What is have love and in love?
I have love for previous relationships. I'm not in love with them. I don't see myself like that relationship is over, but it doesn't mean that I don't have love for them. Like, I want them to do well. I want them to succeed. I want them to be good people. I want them to go on with their lives. I'll just watch from back here.
So you have to watch from a distance?
Yeah. I don't need to see that close up anymore.
I don't know. I think it's different, because I think if that were true, that you can only be in love with one person at the same time, then there would not be divorce.
No, divorce is not just because you love somebody else.
No, but something has happened on one person or the other's behalf
Yeah, the other
that
one
has
goes
caused
crazy.
love to leave this relationship.
Or there's a point when you just can't be there anymore.
I mean, sometimes it's not about lack of love. Sometimes
Right.
it's about lack of respect.
Okay, well, if you leave for lack of respect, then can you have love for somebody else once you're gone, or are you just stuck?
I don't think that you will have love with for someone else if it's just a matter of lack of respect.
See, I
You
think
still
this
love
is
that person.
I think this is highly complicated.
It is very complicated.
But I don't think it's necessarily that complex when you look at this big.
Really have a phone call.
We're just going to do this. with
Somebody
that
wants to
phone call.
chime in here.
We don't need chime in on this subject. This is a podcast. So the point is that I think that's I don't know. I can't say that that's true.
Well, you've also said you don't know that you've ever really been in love. So you can't
I said that off
say-
air, but no, we can bring that on air now. Sure, why not?
Well, you bring a bunch of stuff off air onto air, so we can just start there.
No.
Yes, what was the question?
I don't think you can say that you can or can't be in love with two people at one time.
But I don't think I've ever. I don't know. Yeah, I think whatever.
You have that full emotion, like, who knows? You can't.
Sure.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't.
I don't think you can be in love with two people at the same time.
I don't know. It'd be very. Well, then why do people make choices? Why, some people actually are faced with a choice in their life and they go, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? This person wants to marry me. This person wants to marry me. I've got things with this person. This person's got a thing, and I've got to make a choice now. Well, what is that? What's the you should already know. There should be no choice.
I think you do know. You just That's the fear, like where you don't want to hurt the other person's feelings. So you just keep kind of, I don't know.
I think life is much more gray. And that's
What? You just said it was so black and white.
No, I said love is black and white. I think the issue of loving people is gray. Because there are all kinds of different love. There are. There's the you make me laugh love. There's the I like seeing you love. There's the I want to be in the same house with you forever love. There's the I want to marry you love. There's different love.
But I think when you've met the one, you want it's all of that. It's all of that in one.
A lot of people meet the one a lot.
Maybe.
See, that's why I think
But
that's
then again,
a little.
is it supposed to last forever?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Guess it depends on who you are.
I mean, nobody gets married thinking it's not going to.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
I mean, why would you get married then?
Right, which is exactly the problem, yet the divorce rate is 50%.
Well, I think a lot of that is just people just, okay, moving right along.
Because they are no longer in love.
They don't want to fix it.
Right, they don't want to fix it.
Or one person tries desperately to fix it and they can't on their own, so
Well, what are they trying to fix?
It's not fixed.
whatever's
just,
gone wrong. Whatever isn't the same. Whatever's making your relationship have a, glitch. Things change, you grow, things have to
So
change
you can
with
be
you.
in love and have a glitch.
Well, sure. A little bump in the
Okay.
road. I think that's expected, right?
Well, maybe. I don't know. Some people seem to be perfectly happy, and then some people seem to be perfectly unhappy.
Well, the people that are just perfectly happy are lying.
yes.
Well, I don't know, because there are relationships that do go on where nothing bad happens, and maybe they have an argument from now on.
They have moments of unhappiness.
Yeah,
That
but they're not
happens.
the big cardinal problems that happens in relationships.
I don't think, I think little problems add up to create the big problem.
Well, they can, but let's say your spouse goes out and murders somebody. Now, to
Okay.
me, that would be a deal breaker.
That's definitely a deal breaker. I
pretty
mean,
So there are deal breakers.
there are deal breakers. Yeah, I couldn't
Yeah.
be
There's
married to
definitely
somebody
deal
that's
breakers.
murdering
Yeah.
someone.
I've been through deal breakers.
Right.
There's certain things that you just are hard and fast. That's not who you are. It's not who you want to be, and you're just not going to go down that road.
Right. But that was always in that person.
Maybe, but it didn't really surface.
Didn't surface, but yet it was there.
But how are you supposed to know? It's not
You
like when I
don't.
got married, I thought it was going to happen, or else I wouldn't have. If I had foresight, I would not have done that.
Well, that's the thing. You don't know. And that's the whole problem with the whole thing.
Marriage.
Yeah. Because you don't know what's coming. And you don't know what that
But
person's
so you're
going to be
just
like.
never going to take that chance because you don't know.
Right.
Huh? That's you. I'd rather take a chance. Whatever.
But
Could be great. It could be not be. But if it makes me happy, if it made me smile, then you can't be upset about it.
I don't know. See, I don't
Even
know.
with all the crap that I've gone through, I can't say that I would change what I've done.
Well, I think that comes down to regret, though. And I think a lot of people don't want to regret anything. And a lot of times that's involving kids. How can you regret something where you got a great kid? You don't want to say, I regretted that. But if you actually took a hard and fast look and you took the kid out of the situation and you just looked back at the person and the relationship that it was, I think there are some regrets there for
I
people.
do that objectively. I don't think that I would regret it. I don't think that I would. Just because there was a lot of good in there. For 10 years, there's a lot of good. There's a lot of good times, a lot of good things. Things I probably wouldn't have done otherwise.
Well, I guess then people have to decide, does the good outweigh the bad?
Right.
Right. That's true.
But that's a personal choice that people have to make.
Yeah, I agree.
But the problem is, where we started here, if you never go beyond that person, how do you know that something is not better somewhere else?
I don't.
This is why people get cold feet
But
before
how do
their
you know,
wedding.
if you've dated, if you know, you're not just, why does it mean, beyond, how do you know you've not gone beyond that person? Why has someone not gone beyond that person and then they finally settle? I'm yes, okay,
Well-
this is it. You find the person.
Well, for the same reason you just
think
said.
there's always someone else there.
But you also said, going in, I thought this was it. Right. So, yeah, you wouldn't think there was another person, but obviously sometimes there is another person because that ends and here comes another person. So It does happen.
There is always someone there if it ends, but I don't think when you're in it, there was no one in it at the time. There's no one at the time in it that would have just turned my head or enough to say, oh, like you said. When you're in it and you're happy, there's no other, oh.
Maybe. But then when it ends, there is.
Maybe. I mean, there's...
See?
You're difficult.
No, this is true.
It's
this is just
difficult.
when you actually have to think about these things, which is what a podcast is supposed to do. I bet this is helping a lot of people because this is stuff people are not talking
Or
about.
we're just confusing the hell right out of us.
No.
I am confused.
Really? No, I don't think it's that confusing. People are trying to make it confusing because they're trying to put up fences to protect their own opinions.
Like me? Are you talking about me? Like
No,
putting
I'm
up
just saying
fences?
people
Like, what
put
are you
up
talking about?
fences. They put up fences, and they say, well, I certainly couldn't do that because that would have been awful. But when the truth is, you really do know that sometimes things do change. You really do know that sometimes somebody walks into your life that you would have thought, oh my goodness, I wouldn't have given that person a second look if I would have just met him on the street. You do know that not every marriage lasts forever. Not everything goes on until the end of time. And when you realize those are the realities of life, then you really do have to say to yourself, well, is there anything else? Could there be another marriage? Could there be another person I could be in love with, in air quotes?
You could question that forever.
Right, but you have to because that is
So
life.
then you never just let yourself meet that one person.
Maybe you do, maybe you don't.
I don't know. I don't think that. I mean, okay, I've been married twice, but both times when I was in that relationship and happy, no one else would have come along and made me go, oh.
Right, but now, listen, since you brought that up, and I'm not, but this is true, but you would not be in the place you are now had those relationships not changed.
Right.
Would that be okay with you?
Well, once I was cheated on, so there's that. That was the end
Okay.
of that.
But
You know?
but that's decisional.
We tried. We tried to make it after that. It didn't work.
Right. But the definition you just gave me was when you're in it, that's
It
great.
wasn't as the result for me. It wasn't the result of another person coming in and saying, oh. It didn't ever end because I decided that I just needed to go see if there was something else out there.
I'll tell you what the problem is. Okay, let's say your spouse dies. Okay? Now, if you...
Okay.
I mean, this is a really
get what
good
you're
place to
saying.
go. Yeah. If your spouse dies, are you supposed to live the rest of your life alone because you were in love with them?
Right.
No.
Or can you now have love in another place?
I think you can have love again.
Yeah, that's a good question.
See,
I
but-
think that's hard.
But if you say you can only be in love with one person at one time...
I think there are
But you
people,
still
though.
have love for the other people. You still
But
have
why are
love. Like
you-
just because your husband died, you're not like, I don't love him anymore. He's gone.
Right, but
That's
then
not the way that
if
it
you-
works.
Right, so does that mean you can't be in a relationship then? Because death is different than divorce.
When you're ready, you can. Or when you're not ready. I think it's just personal.
But okay, so when you fall in love with the second person, now are you no longer in love with the dead husband? Do you just have love for them now?
Probably. I think at some point you have to come to grips with the fact that they're not
So death
in
can
your
end
life
love.
anymore. No, it doesn't end it. It just changes it.
You fall out of love when somebody dies.
No, it just changes the love that you have for them. You still love them with all of your heart. If they were there, you know
See, I
they'd
think
be your person.
I
mean, I don't think that you
I'll tell
don't
you something.
want them gone.
I know somebody, and you always, it sounds horrible to say that, but you don't want to give names. I know somebody who had all their kids with a person who died.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That person's dead. Now, they did go on and marry somebody else.
Right.
But I know that the first marriage meant more because it had kids. It was
Right.
taken away.
Yeah.
She had no choice in it. And she will be buried with the first person.
Yeah.
That I was just going to bring that up.
Exactly.
I always think of that.
Yeah.
If someone passes away and then you get remarried, who do you get buried with?
Right, because do you know how many people lost soldiers in World War II and to this day still have their picture on their wall?
Right.
They're still in love with them.
Right.
Absolutely.
But yet they went on and had kids with somebody else and they're in love with them too. It can be dual deals.
That's a different kind of love, though.
Is it?
It is. If that person were still here, they would be with them. But they're not here anymore.
So does that mean the second person is just like a backup?
You would have not ever had the second person. The second person would have never entered.
Who are you going to see when you go to heaven? If they both die before you, who are you going to go to first?
I don't know.
Your first love.
You would, probably the one that,
Yes.
Died.
yeah.
The one that
So
passed
really,
away.
the second one is just here to a placeholder.
But
Oh,
he was
goodness.
there before. He didn't. There wouldn't have been a second one. The second
Right,
one
but it
wouldn't.
was-
The second one wouldn't have made her say, "Oh," when she was still married to the first one.
Right.
Right.
But yet you can have love for two different people.
You can go on and love again.
There are people, though, that don't ever get remarried.
Right.
Right. Well, see, the older people have it right. Because if you ever ran in, I've said this before, I love it. If you ever ran into an older woman, because women usually outlive the men, who, you know, they're with grandpa for like 60 years and grandpa dies, and you go to them and you say, well, grandma, you know, it's been a while now. Do you want to go play bingo with somebody else? And she says, I don't want to take care of another old man. She's had enough.
Right.
She's not in love anymore. Even though she might have loved him in their younger days, she ain't doing that anymore. She ain't spending the rest of her life driving around some old guy to doctor's appointments and doing that again. We're done.
I think some people, though, probably just don't want to lose somebody else. After
Right.
you've lost someone already once that's passed away, you kind of do have that fear in the back of your mind the older you are, like, okay, I don't want to go through this again.
Have you ever seen older people at restaurants?
Yeah.
They're done talking.
There was a lot of them last night.
Yeah, they are done talking. They are now looking at menus, and they're irritated at everything the other person's doing.
Yeah, but have you ever seen the old people that aren't talking, but they're like holding hands under the table?
Why do you leave your purse in the car?
They don't have things to say.
Why
but
can't
they
you
still
ever
be
bring?
together.
Why don't you ever bring the debit card? Why do I always have to bring the debit card? Why do you always order the
Where
same
are you,
thing
like,
every night?
Where are you going to eat? These people are so
I've
grumpy.
seen they were there last night.
They were. See, I don't even notice that kind of stuff.
But when they were younger, well, that was probably love.
I don't
think it always goes that direction.
I don't either. I don't think it switches direction.
I just think that it is perfectly plausible at different stages in your life, winter, spring, summer, and fall, to have different loves.
There's definitely different seasons of when you're in love. Put it that way.
Because people are complex. You look at the human brain and the decisions we make, we're complex people. And sometimes you deny things. I think that happens. That's where the term denial comes from. I think you deny that you have feelings for somebody else. I think you deny that something could be happening because, again, we all want to be good people. We all want to be liked. That's why nobody wants to be villain. Nobody wants to be the evil person. But yet, in movies, the villain's the most interesting character because we really all secretly want to be that.
But you don't think someone's desire to be happy would outweigh their desire to not be the bad person?
I hope it would. I don't think it always does.
I think it would.
I don't. I think people get locked into these things. Like, I think when somebody gets down and proposes, I love to know the statistics on how many people say no. I don't think they say no a whole lot because I think that's like, oh man, I got to say yes here.
Right.
You know, and then you're stuck. Then you're in the
I don't think you have to be stuck.
I don't think everybody's 100% in. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
Because a proposal is really 50%. I made up my mind I'm going to propose to this person. Now, they can say whatever they want. Now, most likely they say yes. But are they really, truly in? I don't know. Maybe they like the attention.
Maybe that's
Maybe they like planning the wedding. Maybe they like the idea of not being alone. Maybe they like all that stuff. But is it love? I don't know. Maybe they love the idea of not being alone. Maybe they don't love the person.
maybe.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not sure.
That was deep. That was deep waters. But I do think it's confusing sometimes.
So confusing.
And this is why Valentine's Day is confusing. You go to the florist and you say, well, do I send the flowers to my wife or my mistress? Where do I go? You know how often that happens? People
I
don't
don't
even
know.
use that word mistress anymore. What do they call those people?
Side chick.
Is that what it's called?
I don't
No, they
know.
call it something now. There's
A
a
bad
word.
decision.
A bad, terrible decision.
But sometimes bad decisions go on for a long
In
time.
the pants.
You know, have you ever
Well,
ran
that's
into...
my point. Like, saying that. Right. If it's going on for a long time and then you're still married too, you don't love that person.
You know, here's a sad thing, though. Have you ever ran into somebody who had an affair, but it's not now? their marriage is over, the affair has stopped, it's 20 years later, and you go to the person and you say, do you regret the affair? You know what they usually say? What they usually say at that point, because there's no judgment at that point, there's no consequence. What they normally say when you catch them in the absolute honest moment is they say, I was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It was the wrong thing to do, but at the time it was exciting and I enjoyed it.
Well, right, because I mean, real life isn't always
Right.
exciting.
Right. But you don't get that honesty in the moment. Because in the moment, boy, you're in it. Because you've still got the marriage. The person who you had the affair with is still fresh in your mind. You have got consequences that you could be facing. You're not going to give an honest answer. But 20 years, once both those relationships is over, if they both do end, then you can give an honest answer. And the honest answer usually is, I was wrong, but I did enjoy it. If you didn't enjoy it, why would you be doing it?
Just to see if you can.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a gee whiz.
I think so.
I'm not going to jump off the Grand Canyon just to see if I can live.
Well, having an affair would be much like jumping off the Grand Canyon.
No, I think, but it doesn't mean. See, but I do believe it's not emotional. I do believe that.
Right. I
believe
too.
it's something else, but I don't believe it's just to see if you can do it.
No, I think so.
I think so.
I think they need like their egos
Then
to
everybody be
ego.
doing it.
Ego. A lot
It's
of
an
your
ego thing.
ego is making decisions.
Yes.
Well, but that's not to see if you can do it. That's to see
It
if.
is. It's to see if you can still get that other person. You can see if you can still get out there. I was going to say girl.
Really? That's what it is?
I think a lot of it has to do with that. Yes.
Maybe. I don't know. It depends on who you are, I guess.
You know, you were in like a whatever routine with your spouse, and you're just kind of like, whatever. Somebody says something, the right thing, catches your ear, catches your eye, and next thing you know,
Right,
like
but see, that's not seeing if you can do it.
Yeah.
That's seeing if that they have appealed to me for
if
some
you can
reason.
if you can get this person, if you can get this girl, get this boy, it's I think at some point it becomes a kind of a challenge and kind of a satisfaction that you have or haven't.
I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe.
I don't know.
I've never done that, so I can't say that
Me neither.
one
It's
way
not
or
my
another.
thing.
Right,
But
I have no idea.
It's
But I don't know that that's it. Because if that were it, then I think more people would be doing it. Because some guys do get hit on, and some girls do get hit on, and yet they don't do it.
right.
Right. So I don't know that it's just to see if you can do it. I think it's more about... I honestly do think it has to do with routine sometimes. I think people get really bored
It's
with
just
their
bored.
routine. And
I mean, I think if someone's secure in themselves, they don't need that extra, like, oh, wow, like someone's paying attention to
You're right.
me. Like, if you feel secure, I don't know.
I'll buy that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a mental thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think it's because you don't have to be mental to say, I just want to see if I can do that. That's competitive.
A lot of people are competitive.
Right. But no, I really think there's something, people who have affairs, much like murderers, but I'm not saying it's the same level, I think there is some kind of a mental thing going on there.
Right. I think they're lacking something in there. They need something. They need that affirmation
But
I
somehow or
wonder
another.
if you did a poll, like, with competitiveness, if more people that tend to be more competitive tend to do that than less competitive people. Because they always need they need that something
Like the rush?
and
Yeah, but do they ever think about the hurt it's causing the other person?
clearly
No.
not.
I don't
Right,
really don't
that
think so.
that's the mental defect. You can be competitive all day long. Competitive people don't always go over and kick the loser.
But some competitive, if you are very competitive, they do not care like who they're beating, who
Right.
Right,
they're
but
all about the win.
But you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, then you really probably should check into the hospital.
But they're still all about the win.
At all costs?
Some people are.
Well,
I think so.
then see, that would be a hard person to be in love with. I'm going to do this at all cost because I'm that competitive. Well, what's to say they won't do it again?
Well, there isn't.
Right.
Right.
Who needs that?
I don't know.
I think that I think doing it again is probably
But I don't want to, because I know there are people out here who have had those issues and stay with the person, and I think that's a very big thing. My goodness, the biggest one that I can think of in my mind is Hillary Clinton. She stayed with her husband. after transgressions.
It's true.
And if you ask her today, she'll say she did the right thing.
Correct.
So that's
Bet she makes
her.
them pay for it though every day.
See, I don't know. I think
I
she.
don't think so.
I think she did for a while.
Yeah.
I remember the picture where Chelsea had to be in between them, and she was holding both their hands because that was mom and dad. But she could have left when the presidency was over. She didn't. 20
It's
years
super
later, they're
scandalous,
still
though.
there.
Yeah, but she is still in politics herself, and I mean, if they can work, I'm happy if they can work it out.
All I'm saying is some people are Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, and they've been in love since college, and one transgression did not ruin the thing.
Right.
And then there are people like Phil Donahue, who had all his kids with one, but now he's in a 30-year relationship that nobody said would work because he made her laugh. There are different sides to a coin.
Right.
And but Hillary Clinton certainly got beat above the head and shoulders about that. And why was she beat about that? I never understood that. She took more of a beating about that than him because she stayed.
Right.
How could you stay?
Right.
I mean,
Well, she didn't have any choice in the matter.
I mean, there's always a
There's always
choice.
those women.
I
That
mean,
are
to
saying,
leave.
you know,
Yeah.
But she didn't cause the problem.
no.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But boy, you would have thought she did by all
Right.
the heat she took.
Well, I think
Definitely.
there's always those women
mean,
activists that
do-
think that she's just being a pushover, or she's not. I don't.
But you really think Hillary Clinton's a pushover?
No, I don't.
No.
That's what I'm saying. I think there's these people that are telling her that are saying that.
I just think you can't judge somebody else's marriage. I think
Oh,
that's
I
very hard.
totally agree.
Well, and after the election, when she wrote her book, I remember she was doing an interview because everybody they think that they have an arrangement, that Bill is still doing his philandering, and she's there because they've just been together for so long. And somebody said, what do you say to the people who say you have an arrangement? And she said, we do. It's called a marriage.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now, is it probably what it was 40 years ago? No. But it's something. I think they're friends at this point.
Well, they probably still have a lot of love for each other, and they're not ready to.
And they
just
have
be done with it.
grandkids. They have a child. They have all that.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, there are people who do walk away, and that was happier for them.
Right.
And then sometimes the first wife and the second wife actually like each other. That happens too.
Probably better than the husband.
Yeah. What are they in there
I don't
plotting?
know how quickly they become friends after an affair situation, but I think you could be.
Well, I don't know if you
friends with the
become
significant
friends with the affair person, but
I mean, if they go on to marry that person, I don't
Right.
think that there's a real.
would you go to the wedding of your ex-husband or wife?
right now? Like right now?
Yeah.
So I would. Yeah, I would.
Really?
I mean, with Chris, we're friends. I mean, we're friends.
See, I don't go to any weddings.
That does not surprise me.
No, I don't want to do that. I went to a few and they were just awful.
Were they?
Oh, they were. I kept saying, boy, this isn't going to last.
Oh my gosh.
I like weddings, but I didn't. I could have got married at the courthouse and been happy. Really?
Well, see, I think people get married for the wedding. More proposals again, we're taping this on Valentine's Day. More proposals will happen today than any other day of the year. And
Right.
many people tonight will be going, will you marry me? And many people will be saying yes and thinking, oh no. And they'll wake up tomorrow morning thinking, what did I do?
Well, that's why there's that period of engagement to decide if that's what you're going to do or not.
I don't think it should be called engagement. I think it should be called regret.
Oh,
shoot. Oh, that was the
that was.
children's
I was just
speech.
thinking of that too.
Dang
That you
it.
sent.
I saw that on my desk calendar.
What does engagement mean? It's a French word,
I don't know. Look at
You're
it
engaged.
but it means something.
together.
Together?
I don't
I
know.
think
I'm
like
guessing.
with there's something with
Intended?
intent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you're.
Well, why do you think people get cold feet? That's a common thing. Before the night before.
I think it's natural to get cold feet.
Why? What do you cold
Because
feet?
you worry. Regardless of whether you know or not know, people are still worried they're making the right decision, and I think that's normal.
And this is kind of the hallmark of this whole episode. You don't know. That's what you should
But
put
you
on
have
this.
to decide
You
if
don't
that
know.
truly. But you have to decide if it's worth taking the chance on.
I don't know. Do you want to be sitting on the porch? Because you said this earlier on, right? You want to be
I think
sitting
I
on
said
the
it when
porch
we were
with
off
somebody.
air,
Well,
like,
go ahead. What were
you
you
know.
saying? That wasn't bad.
About what?
About the porch thing?
You can picture you have a picture in your mind of like who you want to be sitting on the front porch with.
I can't believe she just said that because I always say that.
Right.
In my
Really?
little
You
rocking
do?
chair
That's
on
what I
the
said.
porch,
And I said that. I was like, who I'm gonna
watching
be
my
rocking on the front porch
grandkids.
Right.
Right.
I said with my ex-husband that I said very early on, and I told him this. We actually had a conversation. I never saw myself like being old and rocking on the front porch with him.
Oh.
See, why'd you get married then?
I don't know. I mean, we were happy. Everything was good. I don't regret it. I mean, things were good, and maybe I was just wrong.
But see,
But I never at that point thought that I would. I don't know.
See, and I think about that all the time.
Well, see, but here's the caveat to that.
In my head, I thought that he was going to die. That's why I wouldn't be married for so long. I didn't realize the marriage was going to go so bad.
Oh, that's so happy. Love is such a nice thing.
But that's why I was questioning my head. I was like, maybe he'll just die before we get old, and that's why I can't see myself sitting on the front porch.
That's such a happy thought. My goodness.
Are we supposed to be honest?
Yes.
That's honest, but woo.
Well, it's not that I was going to kill him.
Okay. That's good to know you weren't going to murder anybody.
No.
But here's the caveat to that rocking chair thing is that some people are with somebody so long that's of course I'll be sitting in the rocking chair with that person, when the truth is, but what if this person and I are discussing something we have total common ground in, and it would be better. That's the thing, you see, because I think relationships sometimes are, okay, like one time I was engaged, okay, and it didn't work out, okay, so, but I'm sure at that time I thought that was probably the person.
Right.
But I don't now.
Correct.
You were blaming the other person at the time, you think, that it didn't work out, you mean?
No. I always blame myself. No. I blame myself in that one. But I do, 100%. But I don't remember getting engaged, though. See, that's
right.
the
See,
problem.
that's what I was wondering, like, if it was one of those weird...
No, I don't remember it. I didn't do the down on one knee, buy a ring.
You
no.
shared the story with us before, which is
That's true.
bizarre.
It did. There was no ring. So, but
But did she buy a ring? She wore no ring?
She's still alive, so I'm not going to talk about this, but...
She didn't die.
She hasn't died yet, so I'm not going to talk about this.
Because she died, so...
But I will say that at one point I thought, well, this will be the person I'm around with forever because I went along with the engagement. So, at that time I thought, wow, there could be nobody else. And when it ended for a moment, I thought, ooh, that's probably... that was the one.
So you've been in love, right? So like if you thought you were with the one,
no,
like,
because now I don't think that at all.
Now you don't think you were in love now with her.
Nope. I think I liked her, and I still like her.
Yeah, because if you're in love, you're willing to go when things go different or not the way you want them to. You definitely keep trying for a while. And did you keep trying?
Not really.
No. See, so you probably
Right.
weren't
No.
because you put up with a lot of stuff if you do really love the person.
Way more than what you should.
Right.
You choose to love them unconditionally, even though in an imperfect setting or times.
And even when you know that it's bad,
yes,
you keep loving.
But what if they leave? Is that's the bad one?
It doesn't change your feelings.
That's
though.
people
it
who are
doesn't
home in a
change your
hanky
feelings.
You still love them.
You still love them.
I don't know. I just don't. I think it's really the right term for that is it's an amorphous subject because it morphs all the time and it changes all the time, and
well, because people change all the time.
right,
And you
and
grow
that's
up,
the
like when you're
hardest
young and
thing
you get together,
that's the hardest thing to accept for people is that people change as time goes on.
But your love for them changes. Everything changes. Should adapt. Without some crazy outside factors.
It's good if there are no outside factors, but sometimes outside factors do change things. Like
Yeah.
if I order an ice cream cone and somebody comes in and spits on it, I'm probably not going to eat it.
I would not eat that either. I don't even know where we got to that.
No, but that's an outside factor. Let's say I order the best ice cream cone in the world. Oh, I'm going to eat that ice cream cone. But if somebody comes in and spits in it, that's an outside factor that I didn't control. I'm not going to eat that now.
Yeah.
So it just changed it up.
I guess.
It was a game changer. Now I've got to have a hot fudge sundae.
Are we talking about ice cream?
No.
But it was a metaphor.
It's a metaphor. It's definitely a metaphor.
You have to decide for yourself how long you're going to put up with whatever you're going to put up with.
But the final
Who's worth putting it all up
section
for?
of this is how many people are lying to themselves. I think a lot.
About what?
Is this right? And I think it's everybody. I think it's marriages. I think it's engagements. I think it's couples. I think it's relationships. I think it's all that. Am I right? Is this right? And I think you do question yourself, but I think people won't admit that they question themselves. Because if you're questioning yourself, then there's already doubt.
No, I don't think there's anything wrong with questioning. Like,
I was gonna say I question stuff all the time.
What is going on? I don't think there's anything.
But if you
wrong with
know you're in love, then why are you questioning it?
Because you've been in love before and maybe it didn't work out. But I didn't. You can't question it at the time going into it.
I think
I mean,
it's
in my
healthy.
situation-
So that's the time you should question it, is
But
when you're going into it.
I think it's healthy to always ask.
Right.
Honestly, I think it's healthy to always ask questions, to keep asking those questions and not get into such a routine where you're just going along and
Yeah.
All I know is
making
weddings
yourself
make me
accountable. I
nauseous.
think you definitely need to keep yourself being accountable, like questioning things, not taking it for granted.
question things, but I don't know if you can question the feelings. If you start...
No, like your feelings gonna always be solid. I'm just saying like other things.
I just know that if you have any type of relationship with the person, you have some feeling for them. And a lot of times you cannot go to that person and say, well, sorry, this ain't going to work out. Because you're worried about hurting them because you do have some feeling
Yeah, but
for
I don't
them.
think if in my case, being engaged, I don't think that if I had that much doubt into it, I would definitely, before I got married, say no. Like this,
Right.
This isn't going to work out.
And
In a perfect world, and I'm not saying you, but in a perfect world, yes, maybe. But that's not always the case.
No, but I think maybe because of my situation, I've been married and I know what it's like. I'm not going to let myself go down that road again if I'm not sure. Like if you're not sure, then you don't have to get married.
So, okay. Well, I'm going to have to ask it this way because you've brought it up this way. If this one didn't work out, okay, then
For
what would
what
you...
reason? For what reason is it not going to work out?
I
Like if
do-
there's crazy outside factors that have been in my first two marriages, like there's no doubt. Like when I got married to my high school sweetheart, my first marriage, if the outside factors had not entered, I 100% think we would still be together. Like if he wouldn't have cheated, if these
Okay.
girls would not have come along, whatever, I think we would still be
These
together.
girls wouldn't have came along.
Well, they obviously made him say, "Oh."
Apparently. Which proves my point. Oh.
So he and I weren't on the same page at that point, and that's
Yeah, I guess
fine.
not.
Well, obviously, but I think if that wouldn't have happened, we would still be together. I think outside factors change the way that your marriage goes.
Well, that's...
And same thing with my second husband.
That's... Nah.
What?
Well, obviously for you, that was a deal breaker.
No, we
That's
tried.
not-
We tried, and things just changed.
After you knew?
Yes,
Oh, okay. Well,
we
there you
tried.
go.
I went to counseling, and I mean he didn't, but we were good for a
But the
little while longer,
question
and it
is,
wasn't.
the question is, if this one doesn't work out, then will you start to question yourself before the fourth one?
I question your I don't even know if I just said that on air, if I'm allowed. Wait till these mics are turned off, Scott Spears.
That was a great question. I
don't
told you,
know,
I'm
like,
not saying it's not
After
going
I
to work out.
got divorced the first
Oh,
time, I'm like,
man.
there'll never be a second marriage. And I was like, well, then I got a second marriage.
Exactly. And then
But
you got,
here's the
and
thing.
after the second one, you said there'll never be another marriage.
But I don't
And now
think
there's a third.
it wasn't a case of us
It's
just it wasn't a case of us just falling out of love because
But
we got
isn't
older
this more
or
about
whatever.
you than the other
It's
people?
just about me.
No, I mean,
No,
isn't
what
this?
they did was not about me, and I won't take
No,
responsibility for this.
no, not what they
Especially the
did.
second one.
No,
what is
not what
about
they
me?
did. No, I think you misunderstood. Did you understand what I was saying, Mayor?
I couldn't. You have to say that.
What
Say
I'm
it again.
saying, it was crosstalk there. It was like The View for a second. What I was saying was, no, it's not your fault. What I'm saying is when you say, oh, after the first one, I'm never going to be married again, and then there's a second one, and then after this, you say, oh, I'll never be married again, and then there's a third one, do you at some point say, well, that's me. That's just my personality. I am this. There's a pattern here.
I don't know.
Well, there you go.
I mean, like, how would I say that? Like,
Well,
is this like a fear of being alone thing? I have no fear of being alone. I've done that.
I don't think people who fear to be alone will say they have a fear of being alone. I think that's the whole point.
I really don't. I've done that. I've done this. I've been a single mom. I've been alone. I've lived alone. I've run my house. I've done it all.
Probably.
So I don't think I need to have someone in my life.
Need and want are two different things.
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
Need and want, two different things.
Definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
So, on this love episode, where the love, I can tell in this room, is flowing around at this particular
definitely.
point.
It's definitely in the
here.
air.
I don't know what that chill was that just
Jeez.
came in here, but
So, what's your advice for people? Because this is a big advice holiday to people
well,
when it
clearly
comes
it
to
sounds
love.
like I'm not the one to be giving advice on
What
um,
advice for what?
For love. I mean, what is the rule of thumb? What is the idea? How do you have a perfect life with the perfect wife
You're
or the
not.
perfect
You're
husband?
not
You're
going
never
to.
going to have
First
the
of
perfect
all,
life.
know that there's no.
Run. That's what I
So
say.
maybe-
Run.
No, I in
That's
my
the-
situation, I have just chosen to go with what makes me happy.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, and I don't think there is either.
Yeah. First of all, you better know there's not going to be like a perfect life, perfect.
Right.
No.
Okay, not perfect.
It doesn't
happy.
happen.
Is this
Happy.
what you're waiting
Happy.
on, Scott?
Happy
Spears?
life.
Like the
Because
perfect
perfect
person
does
to come
not
along
exist.
No,
Something
no.
always comes along.
I'm just waiting for the right person who has the right judgment on pulling the plug.
and pays for everything.
Oh, wouldn't that be? Yes, that's perfect.
Yes.
That is perfect. Perfect
No,
for me.
I think that that's been my advice. Just go with what makes you happy, and you have to kind of like not worry about what everyone else thinks.
I don't think you should worry about what other people think. That's good.
yeah.
So go with what makes you happy. That's what we.
Life
That's
is
that's
too
the
short.
whole definition of love. We
Life is too
boil
short.
down an hour to that.
It's too short to be
Do
anything but
whatever
happy.
makes you happy.
Yeah.
No, I think be true, Shakespeare. To thine own self be true.
I don't even know what that means.
Maybe that's the problem.
Maybe, but I don't know.
No, you can lie to everybody else.
Are
And
you?
you
Is this
can-
you, or is this like a general statement? Are you coming at me, or is this like a general you? Listen to him.
Does
Is
it
he
seem
looking
like
at
I'm
me when
coming
he's
at
saying
her?
this?
Do you get the feeling that I'm coming at
A
her?
little bit.
No. I was. Keep going. I
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
listen to
yeah.
what you were going to say.
Now, why can't you ever be like Michelle and say, I want to listen to what you have to say?
Because usually what comes out of your mouth is
No.
questionable.
To thine own self be true is Shakespeare had it right on that, and he didn't have it right on everything.
Mm-hmm.
But he had it right because you can lie to your parents, you can lie to your friends, you can lie to your coworkers, you can lie to your kids, you can even lie to the person you're married to, dating, spouse, whatever. But you know what you can't lie to? Yourself. And
Right.
at the end of the night, you have to go to bed with yourself.
Oh my
In
gosh.
your mind.
But
and
didn't I tell you
and
the-
you better believe that you know if you're being eroded, you know if you're being taken for granted,
Mm-hmm.
you know if you're depressed, you know if you're upset, and you can tell the world different story, but doesn't hurt the world, hurts you.
Right. And isn't this what I told you the best advice I got was this summer? And you like rolled your eyes. It's basically all boils down to the same thing. You
What
only
was
have to
that?
live with one person for the rest of your life.
Yeah, but living with
And that's
yourself,
you.
but living with yourself is I can deal with this, I can survive this, I can put up with this.
If that's who you
living.
are, I'm so tired of dealing and surviving. Like I want to be happy. That's why I said now it's just
Right,
gonna
but
do what
I'm
makes me
saying
happy.
I'm saying in the bed at night, if you can have an honest conversation with yourself without anybody else in the picture, and you can say, this has not affected me. This is not hurting me daily.
Mm-hmm.
This is okay. If you can truly say it to yourself, then you're good. If you
Right.
can't, I feel bad for you.
If not, seek what makes you happy.
Right. To thine own self be true.
I agree.
Shakespeare had it right. But Romeo and Juliet was
Oh,
a
boy.
no, it was a happy ending.
It was called The Tragedy of
But
Romeo
I
and
saw
Juliet.
that as a happy ending. I thought, man,
Oh, happy.
they,
That's
Because
how
she
he
said
thinks-
Happy Dagger.
No,
I think that's how he thinks
happy
relationships
dagger.
end.
that it ended. He
It
ghosted
ended.
her.
There's an end.
He ghosted her right at the end
Oh.
of that movie.
Didn't
Oh.
she kind of ghost him first? Because he didn't know she was only under a little, like, sleeping potion.
First of all, do you think that was sleeping potion, or geez, how do I get out of this thing? Let him put himself out of his misery. See, and isn't that a great metaphor? Isn't that really though that he's dead, and because he's dead, I can't live without him, so I'm going to have to kill myself? Well, okay. Is that true? Is that love?
But he killed himself because he thought she was dead first.
Yeah, right. I always say nothing says love like a double suicide.
He thought.
Man.
I mean, and really, this whole story took place over what? A couple days? A few days? It wasn't like years.
But she woke up and there he was dead.
Yeah.
Nobody even cleaned up the body.
Never was a story of more woe
Never was yes. You got it.
that in Juliet and Romeo. Is that
Yeah,
what it
that's
is?
it. That's it.
I've read that too many times.
That's a good ending. But right, at the end, you have to be honest with yourself.
But the families, didn't they learn to get to along together afterwards? Do we know?
I think once
I think they did.
once they didn't have to be in-laws,
There's
then they
there's
got
a
along.
lesson in that.
That's right. Get out. Get out.
Oh my gosh.
Run for your life. Say no. All right, did we come up this is a good ending for the show. Did we come up with a goodbye? Because last time we just really screwed it up.
I just quoted Shakespeare. What
That was
more
a
do you
good one.
need?
That was a good one. What's the goodbye? Abby, what's a good
I don't
goodbye?
know.
Maybe
Good
we
goodbye.
should
What is it?
choose quotes to end each one. Different quotes on the topic.
Oh, that's
Oh,
good.
what's a good topic of love then?
It's a good. See,
That was a good quote. Did you stop paying attention about 5 minutes ago?
No,
What
she
I
was
happened?
paying attention.
texting.
She was texting.
I was texting, but no, I was paying attention. You said you just look up a quote each time that we're of our topic?
Did you hear her quote?
Yes. Shakespeare.
What'd she say?
I don't know.
course you
Shakespeare,
didn't
yo.
Shakespeare, yo.
What is in a name?
What is in a name?
Yep. So I mean, right? Like a rose would still be just as sweet if it wasn't called a rose.
All's fair in love and war.
All's fair in love and war. Yeah.
Where did that come from? That doesn't sound very
That's a
romantic.
good question.
And by the way, the wedding vows, look at those sometimes.
Oh,
That's
we
not
didn't.
romantic.
We did not repeat wedding vows
No, they're not romantic
And
either.
honestly, looking back, I'm like, man, I wish I would have like said my own.
Jeez.
I think when you're younger, I was really more bashful. You know what I mean?
Till death do
To
us
like
part.
come out and say my own.
What is romantic about that? Till death do us part.
I know.
I wrote my own.
What'd you
for when
say?
I got too nervous to say them.
Right, you
I
get nervous, like you're
did.
shy, you're bashful
I would
about it.
love
And looking,
that.
I
would
would
get
love.
married just to get up there and say something.
Well, now, like, I would have a lot to say, but
I could do it now. Like I wouldn't be as. I think I was just. It was weird.
Because you
I
know
could
the
do it
person
now that
more.
I'm older. Yeah, like, but yeah, I wish we had the confidence that we have as we get older when we were younger. Wouldn't that
That's
be nice?
that's a good lesson for everybody
It
to
is,
learn.
yeah.
When you're young, be as confident as you can because you will be confident when you're older
yes.
and have less to lose.
And you
It's
think-
those experiences that make you confident. I mean, you can't trade that.
Did anybody ever get to see your wedding vows? Since you didn't say them?
I just gave them to him, and when I gave him a wedding gift that day, so he read them before we got married.
You know, I'm thinking I might get married just to get up in front of a group of people and give the vows. Do you think I can get out of it before?
Is yours gonna involve? And you're the person I want to pull my plug.
Yes.
I mean, give us
Yes.
like an example other than pull the plug. We know that's you. Like, what are you
What
going to
would
say?
I say in the
yeah, like
vows?
just like a thing. What would be your? What are your vowing to do? What?
I vow that if this ever goes bad, I'll get out.
I will
leave.
ghost you, but still be your friend.
I'll always have a suitcase in the closet ready to go because I know that not everything's forever. You
Right.
know, this might not last as long as a Twinkie.
But it might. It might not.
It might. A Twinkie last a long time.
It really
That's
does
right.
last a long
We
time.
might not last as long as a Twinkie or an M&M.
You know what lasts a long time? A gummy bear.
Gummy bears can be toxic though.
We sprayed this is totally off topic, fryer cleaner on a gummy bear one time.
Didn't affect
Didn't
it.
even affect it, and it burns the skin off your hand when you use
Ooh.
it.
See? Gross.
What does that tell you about gummy bears? Don't eat gummy bears, everybody.
And cheese puffs. That cheese puffs do that just sometimes.
This is a good ending. If you, well, you're going to be having one of these pretty soon, a wedding. But I don't know that you'll give your own like vows in front of people.
I think that I might.
Okay.
But I mean, yeah.
Give
that
me
I'm
one
not-
vow that's important.
I don't know. I have one vow that's important. I don't know. Like you put me on the spot.
Well, just one.
What's like what do you mean like vow?
Like what is the most
traditional?
important vow? What to you? What is the most important vow? In no,
To
it
be
can
honest, to be faithful, to be true.
That's
to be
three.
your person. Like I mean, like I could name these things that are most important in a relationship.
But what's most important?
You know, mine is like to always support you. To always support the other person
good.
because I can say in being younger you make that mistake like that's stupid. You know what I mean? And I've learned the hard way definitely always support them even if you don't necessarily agree. You definitely because that can really hurt a person's feelings because you're supposed to be their team.
You're their person.
Yes.
Yeah, but you know, see what that's weird you say that because I do believe that one of the most important things in a relationship is you've got to be happy for the other person's successes.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
And if you're jealous of them or if you're competitive with them, that
Yeah,
door is
to
squeaking.
always be your partner like on the same
You're their biggest
like
cheerleader. all
I'm
the
not right I'm not better I'm not doing this more than you and you're doing less than you.
I think it's cheerleader and protector. Because
Yes.
if somebody in your presence says something awful about them, you should be the first one to say that's not the case.
Definitely.
And then also, conversely, if they're trying something, even if it's not working out, you need to be saying, you can do it. Go get them.
I agree.
Nail it.
Right. Definitely. Yeah, I can honestly say, like, I would never say anything about my husband like that. Like, and then, like, if someone was bashing him, be like, oh, yeah, he does that. I've never done that.
You always have to say, you got this. You got it. Keep going.
Yep.
You should do this. Why aren't you doing this? You need to be. That should be what the spouse or whatever is doing all the time. What's your dream? Are you doing it? Are you fulfilling it? How can we make it happen? Let's get it done. You know, that's where you need to be. All that other stuff is just confetti.
Yeah. I think some people, though, have a hard time, like, relaying that message in a different, like, that's what they're trying to say, but they don't know how to say it without, I don't know.
I don't know. I think it's just very important that you always do what you want to do. Even if it doesn't turn out the way you think, you got to try it, because a failure is not failing. A failure is not trying.
Right.
Right?
Yep. I would hate to be, heading to the cemetery and know I never tried anything. I wish I'd had more time. Wish I'd had more time.
Time is sometimes a factor.
Yeah, but nobody says on their deathbed,
Dreams.
"Boy, I wish I'd have spent more time at work."
I agree.
Oh,
I've said that.
100%. Yeah.
Right. So you've got to do those things. You've got, even if, and money can't be the driver. I understand nobody wants to live in a cardboard box, but usually it's not that drastic. Sometimes it's just, okay, well, we're not going to eat out that much.
Well, I
Right,
think
no,
we can all say for us here, none of us are making millions of dollars.
No millions of dollars here. But you know
And
what?
all of us are working more than one job. Let's be honest. I mean,
But
we're all working more than a job.
But are all the dreams being fulfilled? I can say all mine have. If I drop dead tomorrow, I've done what I wanted to do. I don't want to drop dead tomorrow, but if I did what I wanted to do. Now, probably at the sacrifice of relationships in my life, and I do think that was the problem. But that was my choice.
But that's okay.
That is okay. I'm fine with that at this point, because
Right.
it's a happy life.
And I think I'm fine with my choice. I had kids young. Not young.
But have you fulfilled? Do you have any dreams left?
Of course.
Okay.
But I don't think that that's a thing. I mean, of course, if I die tomorrow, that'll suck. But that's not. I can't say that my life experiences are what my goal. My dream is to write a book. So my life experiences will shape that.
Got to work on it.
I do.
Yeah.
Book.
Yeah.
Working on it.
I think Michelle and I are going to collaborate on that children's
There we go.
children's series.
Collaboration. This was really interesting. I mean, I think when people listen to this, they actually will have an idea of some differing opinions from men and women, which is the point.
I think
Right.
they would be like shouting at us.
Yeah,
Right.
I think this was very good, because I think this was poignant. I think, and it gave a lot of different viewpoints, and that's kind of what this is, because we do have a married person, we do have an engaged person, and we do have a single person.
And one that's been divorced like a few times.
I didn't say it.
I'm
But-
okay with it. That's where I'm at. That's why I'm at where I am. Right?
Yep.
But if I say it, it's wrong.
I never said you said it was wrong. Did I?
But what's the third episode topic going to be? We've
Oh,
done
okay.
money. We've done.
We did money.
Well, we did kind
Kinda.
of money last
Kind of
week.
like with engagement rings is what he thinks was like. Because
I
we
think
try to
that's
describe
financial.
paper rings.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Money, love, what's after that?
Hate. What causes hate?
I don't think there's hate.
Can you get over hate? Can you forgive? Forgiveness is a good topic.
Ooh, that's a good
Forgiveness is
topic.
a good topic.
Forgiveness will be the next topic.
I think that's good.
Because some people can and some people can't. And do you hold a grudge? And can you get
Oh,
over
boy.
things?
Yes.
You know,
yes,
can
that's a
you
good-
get over things? Those will be the topics. So the goodbye today is just goodbye?
I know. I don't know. How did we end it
I
last
gave a
time? What did we
quote.
say last
Poorly.
time?
We ended it poorly.
We did
It
end
was
it poorly.
It was so poor.
So what do you
Okay.
got?
I don't have.
I always look to you.
You do.
Because you're competitive, and I always hope that you'll come through for
My
me.
legs are still sore from running the other day.
I thought that was going to be your goodbye. My legs are so sore.
Is it
Still
a pickup
sore.
line?
Is that what that is? My leg?
You
You've
must
been
be
running through
tired
my
because
mind
you've been
all
running through my
day.
mind all day.
Oh, no, the best one was the library card one. I love the library card one.
Oh, what's that?
It's, oh, geez.
You've been checking me out.
Yeah,
or
I've been
something
checking
like
me
that?
out. It's the punchline, but I
yes.
can't remember what the setup is. It's something. You remind me of a library book because I've been checking you out all day or something
Oh
like
my. Wow.
that. That's not bad.
Badoom-ching.
I don't think I have any good pickup lines to end on a good note.
Did you ever pick up anybody?
No.
No, we didn't need to.
Oh,
No, not us.
We didn't need that.
There you go. So the goodbye is just goodbye until next time, right?
Yep.
Well, and next time the topic will be
Forgiveness.
Forgiveness. Now, you can search this and hear the first episode. If you're hearing the second one and didn't hear the first one, you just search Paper Rings Podcast on YouTube, and that's how you do it. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, wherever you're listening, have a good time.